All right, guys, my name is still Greg Collins, even though I've been gone for a while. I am the church debater, and this is Preacher Mike. What's up?
Hey, everything's good. Missed you. We shed a tear or two, but we're good. Ready to get going again.
Okay, I assume you just said something, but you froze up. So I'll listen to it later.
Yeah, you froze up too. I'll tell you again, we missed you and we shed a tear for you.
All right. Well, I know sarcasm when I knew I had to come back today and straighten out what you guys had done.
No doubt.
So,
no doubt.
Listen to this. This is the way I want to tell you how the way my vacation began and ended.
Okay.
2 vacations. One was a beach vacation. One was a cruise.
Okay.
First day of the beach vacation, we spent laying on the beach, listening to the Bengals beat the Chiefs in week 17. Then the day we came back, we pulled in the driveway from the cruise the instant they beat them with that overtime field goal. So it's kismet, man. I don't know.
Wow. That's cool, man.
I'm taking credit for it. I'm taking credit for both of those wins.
Yeah. But you're not taking
it was kind of cool. The sports restaurant on the cruise ship, the first day we were there, was showing the Titans Bengals game. And it was all Titans Bengals fans. So it was really kind of fun to be in that atmosphere. Oh, and I thought every playoff game so far, I thought the Bengals lost. I mean,
yeah,
they've won them all pretty much the same.
I think everybody did. So let me get this straight. You're taking credit for this year's
I'm taking credit for the win,
but you're not taking any blame for all the years of losses.
No, I'll be the first to say, I'm a true fan.
Yep.
If I stuck through all those lousy years just to get to this one good year.
Yep. That's right.
All right. So let's see here. I'm going to poke some fun at you and Austin first.
Cool.
I'll do a couple of tongue-in-cheek things, and then I am going to do a couple of follow-up questions.
Okay.
And then the crux of the show, I'm going to share a story or two, probably just one, from the cruise, tell you some of my observations about people.
Oh.
And how they relate and how we might make fun of certain people.
Yeah.
But then do we do the same thing as Christians sometimes?
Good question.
So here's the first one. Is it true that when preachers are trained in your Christian colleges and the preaching schools, are you trained never to say yes or no to a yes or no question?
I would say the answer to that is
that's a yes or no question. You proved my point.
We don't know how to say yes and no. That's the problem. We have to give an explanation because we have to say that there's more. It's very important how you arrive at an answer, not just what the answer is.
Yeah, whatever. I got another one for you. Do they teach you all those cute little phrases and alliteration that you all come up with? Phrases where the first letter of the first word is P and the first letter of the last word is P. Is that what, do y'all have a whole class on that?
No,
creating preacher phrases?
No, this is simply a Johnson thing. This is what I did. Austin has picked up on it. I had an old time preacher that I did a lot of reading of his, and he did that all the time. His was a lot of forced alliteration. I've done it. I can't deny that, but it just seems natural. So both of us just do it.
I expected you to say it helps you remember things. And I'm
thinking,
well, I can't remember any of them. So I didn't remember them.
It helps me remember it while I'm talking about it. That doesn't mean that I remember it the next day.
I got you. Now, 2 questions I listened to all of your all's episodes, and you all did a great job. I think I can just retire and let you all take over.
No, I don't know about that.
The best one the one I liked the most was the last one you did about is one church as good as another type of concept.
Yep.
So what I was just going to follow up on is if Jesus had had his way,
Mm-hmm.
what would the church be called today?
Ooh, boy, I hadn't even thought about that. I've never even heard anybody ask that question before.
Hey, man, I've been on vacation. I've got an open mind now.
What would the church be called today? I think he might use his own terminology, my church.
Okay. I would think it would be my church or the church,
Right.
something to that effect.
Right.
So, and I think that's what you all were getting at last week too.
Right. Right. That's interesting. I'm glad you asked that question because I have never thought about that. I like it.
I mean, there's no doubt. I don't care what church you go to,
Yeah,
what group you're a part of, and I like the fact that you all, I like the fact that you all brought up denominations because, and you mentioned you might shock some people by your response, but the fact that we have a sign in front of our building automatically denominates us in some way.
it does.
So if you're just going by the word's definition, we are a denomination. It just makes us feel really strange when we say that.
Yeah.
Because we're striving to be just the church
That's it.
that was set up in the New Testament.
There you go.
And that's what everybody should strive to do.
There you go. That's right. That's
All right.
exactly right.
All right, now go back to the first show. I want to pick on you a little bit because you all were talking about all the great things that multiple congregations perhaps would come together to show strength against a certain issue.
Sure.
And the one you brought up was an area that was thinking about putting alcohol sales on the ballot, going to being a wet county.
Yes.
Churches came together to protest against that.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, what was their scriptural inspiration for doing so?
Well, I think that this is another one of those things that takes just a little bit of an explanation to understand the concept. And that is that I could not personally teach that anybody who takes a drink has committed a sin. I can't do that. I can teach, as you understand, and we would all teach, drunkenness is sinful, period.
Yes, and I can't imagine anybody disagreeing with that.
I can't either, not as a Christian, not a claimed Christian. Now, so somewhere between not saying sin happens at every drink, but it does happen at drunkenness, there's a point at which Christians have to make a decision on their own to say, this is how I'm going to be. So one of the things that crosses my mind in that list of things in Galatians 5 called the works of the flesh, they are all in the superlative category, meaning the end. So adultery is an end act that is sinful.
Correct.
Where from that act backwards does it become a sin for me that nobody knows about?
Good.
So, for instance, would it be okay for me to take Kim, your wife, and go on a date?
Right.
Oh, obviously not.
I mean, not right, but you know.
I think we ought to get Kim in on this one.
Wait a minute. What did I just say?
So we all know that wouldn't be right. Okay. That is heading in the direction, but it's not adultery either, is it? No. So there are things that are in a line of absolute sinful things that we have to make a decision about. So I would think the line, I've said this on this program before, I don't like the alcohol industry at all.
Right.
I don't have any love affair at all with any of it, because if I could take away, if alcohol did not exist, most of the problems that I've had to deal with people would go away.
Okay, that's fair.
throughout my ministry. So I don't like it. Number two, I don't think it is good or it's a benefit to a society, a culture, a community, maybe financially in some way. But when you look at the figures of what it costs to the effects of alcohol versus the money gained, I think there is a fiscal reason to oppose it. Scripturally speaking, I think here is the danger that comes up. I can't go to Scripture and say that beyond doubt, alcohol is sinful. I can't do it. Number two, there's a danger in an entire church standing up, because when a church stands up and says something, every member of that church is labeled with it. So if the Richmond church put out signs to stop the sale of alcohol, then there will be individuals in this church who personally drink at their homes with nobody else, right, who are going to have a conscience problem about that.
Right.
So there's a danger on both sides.
I see that.
And so I think that it's a lot about the community, the place where we talked about it. The vast majority of the religious makeup of that area was all in favor of stopping it, and so they could work together. So is there a scriptural basis for it? Go to this verse to say, I would say no, but there is in that line of things leading to adultery a place, or to drunkenness or any other thing, a place at which every individual and therefore every church, every eldership makes a decision about what they're going to do or not do.
Okay.
And wouldn't that also, Greg, be true? Just does this change the discussion? What if a church decided, and we've talked about this during the Corona time, not to observe a mask mandate from the government?
Right.
When the government is something we're supposed to support.
Yeah, and I was going to keep it even more simple than that.
Mm-hmm.
We stand, I mean, I shouldn't say we, churches will often stand up against alcohol sales, but you rarely ever see them stand up and pull congregations together about other things that are done to excess. Amen. So why do we have so much more emphasis on alcohol than we do on the others? I agree. It leads to a terrible industry. I remember maybe not so much alcohol, but cigarettes back in the day. I mean, right, they were being advertised to try to get the young kids hooked on it.
Yep.
And you know, they're going to do whatever it takes to make money, but there are other sins that are not sins until done with excess. Why don't churches protest against those just as loudly as alcohol?
You know, I've been here 30 years, and until I don't remember how many years ago that the business finally shut down, but you know, we had a strip joint here in town.
Yeah, we did.
And
I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it, but well, we did. I heard about it.
That's it. That's exactly right. Well, and it shut down, and I didn't even know it shut down. But in all that time that it was open, I never heard any churches actively opposing it.
Boy, that's a good point. And you know this, that's within almost stone's throw of a middle school that I have taught at quite often.
There you go.
Yeah.
The only opposition I ever heard publicly, there was a Christian bookstore on Main Street, and their back door looked at that business, and on purpose, they put a cross and some religious stuff on their back door that was open, that was available to be seen by people coming to it. That's the only protest I ever saw.
All right.
So that's a very good point.
Yep. I want to share a story that happened. It was actually before the cruise even started. And then I'm going to relate it to people. So our cruise left out of Fort Lauderdale. We actually, you know, the way Allegiant flies, they don't fly every day. So the way their schedule fell out, we were actually there 2 nights before the cruise. So we scheduled an excursion to the Everglades that next day, had a really good time, but we Ubered from the airport to the hotel, not that very long. We pushed our luggage into the hotel, and about 5 minutes later, I discovered I no longer have my iPhone.
Oh,
I had left the iPhone in the back seat of the Uber.
Oh,
so, first I shifted into panic mode. I mean, panic, it's just a phone, but you know what I mean, into a panic mode, because not only I'm thinking about, all my tickets to get on the ship are in my phone. They're all in my phone. So first thing we did is I went to their office there at the hotel, the office that they have for people staying there. And I tried to send an email to Uber. Well, Google security is so tight now that if you're using a Gmail address and you're trying to pull up your email from a new computer, you have to verify it from the phone that I had lost. So that didn't work. So finally, I got a request sent into Uber through Kim's phone, which they later, by the way, the Uber driver said he didn't find it. Okay. So about an hour later, we decided, man, it happened. So I got to do something about it. We found that there was an AT&T store within walking distance. We take off walking. All of a sudden, Kim's phone rings. She had talked to Brandon, because Brandon's kind of a computer techie kind of guy. Well, he texted my phone and said, if found, call this number. It was Kim's number. Well, a future passenger in that car found the phone.
Boy, that's smart.
Not only did she find it, they were now staying in an Airbnb that was a 20-minute walk from our hotel.
Wow.
So we walked over and got that phone. I offered her some money. She wouldn't take it. So I said, well, I'm going to stuff it in this tree. It's either going to blow away or you're going to take it. So, wow. And I would have given the same amount to that Uber driver had he brought it back, which would have been more than he would have gotten for the fares during that time. So here's where I'm going with this story. The Uber driver found it, reported that he never found it. The passenger told us what really happened. Oh, we had been calling it. He ignored it. Oh, they brought it up that somebody's lost phone was in the back of the car. He yelled at them. He was rude with them for bringing it up. So I made sure Uber knew all about that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure what happened to his rating, but here's my point. We can look at that Uber driver and say, man, that was terrible. And then we can look at the lady that called me and we got together and got the phone back and said, she was great. Now, as Christians, if we really think about it hard, are we more like the lady who found the phone, or like the Uber driver that refused to bring it back because it wasn't going to be convenient for him? So if we're rushing to a movie as a Christian and we're driving by a situation that maybe could use our help, do we keep going to the movie, which we're going to be late if we stop, or do we stop and help? Well, this did not very often. Everybody on the ship was really nice, but one time when it was only 1/3% full by their current COVID rule. Okay. They only filled their ships about 30% full. We punched a button for elevator, and when it opened, it was at the opposite end of the bank. So we started walking over there, and I could see a guy's finger reaching out to push the closed door button so that it would close before we got on, basically. So as a Christian, are you the guy that closes the door because you don't want anybody in there? Or are you one that welcomes everyone? My whole point is this. Do we get attitudes sometimes as Christians that not so much that we're better than anybody else, but more so we really don't want anybody else to inconvenience us? Or should we always, now let me make a ridiculous example. If you're driving your wife to the hospital to have a baby, well, we'll forgive you for not stopping at an accident you drive past. Other than that, should we always be helpful in every situation, or are there certain types of situations where it's okay for the Christian to just turn up his nose because we don't want to be inconvenienced? Wow, that was a long story to get to that last sentence, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you know what? That story is powerful. I mean, you can, the next time you preach at Richmond, you can begin a sermon on that. I mean,
remember the devotional I did that one time where I talked about falling out of the shower and
I do.
leaving my book behind at the airport? I leave behind stuff all the time.
Hey,
go
I'm the
ahead.
same way. So,
what are your thoughts?
But I think you brought up a very good point. One of the things that hit my head was just thinking about it for a minute. Think about all the times that Jesus helped somebody that just appeared in his path. It wasn't like he went out looking. They were just there.
Very true. Yeah.
So now that you've brought it up, I'm thinking in my head, well, how many of them, you know, the people who were multitudes that were needing to be fed, well, he didn't go trying to get them. They were there. Or
right.
The lepers that wanted to be healed, or the woman that touched his garment.
They just showed up.
They showed up.
You know, that's a great point, because most of the things that we talk about doing for others, they're scheduled.
That's it.
We go to them. How often do we help others who just happen to show up?
No, I think you've brought up an outstanding point. Once again, the concept is, what is reality? There's far more that confronts us than that we go looking for.
Right, absolutely.
That's an outstanding thought. So yes, I do believe that this idea of being inconvenienced is a real problem for Christianity. And let me bring up something that is my own personal soapbox for a moment. I think, as I've said many times, this pandemic has caused very little, but has revealed a whole bunch about people. And I am concerned, I really am. I am concerned that the convenience, excuse me, of our online presence has developed in such a way that getting people back in person is taking a lot longer than it should.
Oh, okay. I got you. I see where you're going.
I really do. And I'm not saying that a person who's not there on Sunday night or Wednesday night has committed a sin. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, what is it that causes people not to be a part of those things? I never, in my time of being raised or raising our children, we never had a discussion that said, okay, are we going to go tonight? Never. That never came up. It was just the programs, what we do. The same thing is, we don't say, are we going to help people when we have a chance? We don't ask, okay, we're going to help on Tuesdays and Fridays, but no other day. You know, we just don't do that. We don't schedule that. It's just a lifestyle. And so I think the inconvenience that Christians have in helping others is a real issue. And I appreciate you bringing it up a whole bunch. I really think it's a deep problem for Christianity in general.
Yeah. And I won't come off like I'm never guilty of this, because there's times when I don't want to be inconvenienced. I'll be the first to admit.
We're all that.
In fact, it might be, it seems, I hate to stereotype people, but number guys or ladies who are strong type A personalities, sometimes it bothers them more to be inconvenienced than other types of individuals. Or maybe that's just me. I've always heard that a type A personality, their biggest strength and their biggest weakness are the same thing.
That's what I've heard too.
Very strong with getting things done, but at the same time, they don't want anybody bothering them while they get it done.
Right.
I mean, So, and I guess all I'm saying is let's make sure, guys, that we're Christians that don't mind being inconvenienced every now and then. I mean, that's all those inconveniences are opportunities, right?
That's good. That's very good.
Now, I didn't go to the preacher school, so there's no alliteration in there at all.
No, but you also have sat at the feet of preachers long enough to know how to do it.
Oh, wow, man. All right. Well, believe it or not, that must have been a good topic because we're almost out of time. Close us out with. Go ahead.
Hang on a second.
Oh.
Before we do that, I have to
All
do something that came up when Austin and I were doing it, and I think it will really help our
good
the theme of what we're doing.
Okay.
So how many times have we mentioned that people say you're not debating enough? And the people that
all
know
the time.
us, and people that know us are more confused by that than anybody, thinking that we're going to just disagree, when in fact we really don't. So here's the concept that people need to understand about church debater and preacher Mike. It's not about Greg, who is a church debater, debating me. It's about Greg with Mike debating the church.
All right. I can live with that.
We are debating our own people. We're debating ourselves.
We are.
And we're asking, is there a better way? Is there something we're missing? How are we doing well? So we're actually debating ourselves, debating our brethren. And I think that really puts a whole new spin on the title, which again shows the brilliance of you at the very beginning.
Oh, wow. Well, then I'll close with this.
Go for it.
I will say that one of the titles you all gave me for the show, I wasn't crazy about, but I went ahead and put it in there, and it wasn't getting very much listens.
Okay.
And I changed it to something a little bit more dramatic.
Good.
And it took off immediately. Isn't that funny?
That is.
I know everybody that's listening to this will already know because they saw the title. Here's what the title is going to be this week.
Yeah.
CWA, Christians with Attitude. So I think that'll get us some listens. Just
I guarantee that.
Don't you?
That is outstanding. That's why I say, you said it's time you could retire and we could take it. There's no way, because at least what we would have to do every week is have you tell us what the title is.
Yeah, tell the title. All right, fair enough. All right, guys, that's it for us on the Church Debater and Preacher Mike. Say goodbye, Mike.
Bye, Mike.